Hey guys, it's me, Vashtil here again. Um, it's been a little bit late. I know today's a little bit late. Um, it's because I've been busy doing a lot of other things in my community. If you guys didn't know, I'm Jewish, and today was Holocaust Remembrance Day. So I was basically just doing stuff for that, and I was also busy with other stuff. I wasn't home for quite a while, and so that's why this video is a little bit late. Anyway, today is another Which Do I Prefer? On Neo-Cyborg Casshan and Casshern Sins. So, if you guys don't know Neo-Cyborg Casshan, it is an anime that came out. It came out in the 80s, and it's been quite a while since I last saw the anime, and I saw it about 3 or 4 years ago. So I don't really remember all the details all that well, but it's it's everything you expect from something animated in the 80s. It's campy. It's got the weird kind of grainy visuals, like weird animation going on, like from like the old Batman animated series, or like the old Scooby Doo series. It looks kind of like it has that kind of texture to it with the animations and whatnot. But it's easy to get past, like, looking at those animations when you really pay attention to the story that's going on. The story of Neo-Cyborg Casshan, like I said, it goes hand in hand with Casshern Sins, because Casshern Sins is a direct sequel to Neo-Cyborg Casshan just years afterwards. So, with Neo-Cyborg Casshan, it's the story of this young boy who becomes part cyborg, hence Neo-Cyborg. His name is Casshan. Basically, his job is to defeat Breaking Boss. And can't remember if Breaking Boss was an android or a cyborg like Casshan, but he wants to take over the world with androids, robots, and Casshan's job is to stop him, to prevent him from doing that. And so a lot of things happen on his adventure, and he ends up killing a very important person. Her name is Luna. He ends up killing her, just straight through her gut. He ends up killing her, and with her death comes about the ruin of the world. So all humans, all robots, all of any make or model are affected by it. Their bodies start deteriorating. They can no longer walk. They're losing limbs left and right. There's rust growing on in their head, their hair, and whatnot. So immediately after that, probably should have said spoilers. But I mean, it came out in the 80s. If you haven't seen it then, I guess you haven't seen it now. Oh well. But for Casshern Sins, like I said, to it's a direct sequel to Neo-Cyborg Casshan, Casshern Sins. Basically, Casshern Sins is what's happening in the world after Casshern killed Luna. So now his name is Casshern, not Casshan. I think it has something to do with the way it was translated, Casshern and Casshan. I think it was something to do with the translation. I don't know why the name is different, but it's the same person. It's the same person. It's just they have a slightly different personality because Casshan lost all his memories after he killed Luna. So Casshern Sins is him going through the world, seeing the ruin and whatnot, figuring out who he is and what's going on in the world around him, why the ruin is a thing. And he learns by meeting people that were affected by the death of Luna, like people like androids and people who are physically deteriorating because of the ruin. Their bodies are basically corroding into nothingness, corroding into dust. Iron oxide basically is what's happening to them. They're oxidizing. But yeah, Casshern Sins, like I said, it's a direct sequel to Neo-Cyborg Casshan. So think of it as Neo-Cyborg Casshan Season 2, but it's called Casshern Sins just because the way the story is and whatnot. But my god, Casshern Sins. Oh, the jump in animation quality from Neo-Cyborg Casshan to Casshern Sins is incredible, dude. Like, I know Neo-Cyborg Casshan came out in the 80s, so it's really kind of grainy, and it was affected by the technology at the time. But my God, Casshern Sins is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful artwork, beautiful score. The music is amazing, and the story is so good. Like sometimes it gets a little bit hard to understand because there's so much happening just at the same time. But it's the way the story is resolved, the way the characters are built, the way they're chosen to react to each other that makes the whole story really interesting. And I don't want to spoil Cash and Sins because it's only about, I think it's either 9 or 8 years old. It came out somewhere in the mid 2000s, like between, I think it was 2008 and 2010. Around there was when it came out. So like as you can imagine, the jump in animation quality was astounding compared to an anime from the 80s. But like I said, you can't really compare the two without having to see how the stories directly correlate to each other. Because Neo-Cyborg Casshan, like I said, directly flows into Casshern Sins. So someone who's watched Neo-Cyborg Casshan, like if they were a child in the 80s, they'd most likely be like around like mid 30s by now. They would have seen Casshern Sins when it came out and be like, oh, is this like a remake or like something of the original Neo Cyborg Casshan or something? It was to get their interest back in, and it was to get new people interested in the story, so they would go back and learn the original story, what originally happened in Neo Cyborg Casshan. That's what I did. Like I saw Casshern Sins first, and I was like, this is interesting. I wonder what the story was about. So I searched it up, and I found Neo Cyborg Cash, and I was looking for Cash and Sins. And I was like, "Is this the same one? It might be the Japanese name, because like the English changes the title sometimes." I was like, hmm. So I watched it, and I was like, "This is not Cash and Sins." And I watched it, and I watched it, and I enjoyed it. So I enjoyed Neo Cyber Cash so much, simply because it's an anime from the '80s, and the way stories were written and the way the animation was back then was something else. It's really refreshing to see all that kind of stuff. But like I keep saying, you can't really compare one without talking about the other one, because they flow into each other so perfectly. The death of Luna goes along with Casshern finding himself, finding where he belongs, atoning for his sins and whatnot. And it's just something it's pretty amazing. It's a story. It's like one of those. I think it's one of those coming of age stories. I think that people who are stuck in the world are trying to figure out who they are by doing different things. And it's no different than Casshern, who doesn't know his purpose, lost his memory, and is just going about life just because that's what he has to do, you know. And it's just the character dynamics in Neo-Cyborg Casshan are vastly different from Casshern Sins, because in Neo-Cyborg Casshan there wasn't that like sense of danger, like, oh, this every day might be our last day, like, yeah, they had Bright and Boss causing trouble and everything, but it wasn't so bad to the point where there was just like, okay, we know eventually we're gonna be dying, be it sooner or later, rather make it sooner than later. But like in Casshern Sins, it was really like this whole thing, like, we're gonna die whether we like it or not, and it's gonna happen relatively soon to us. Whether it happens sooner to others than some other people, or later to others, but we're all gonna die, and we need to value our time together. And so it becomes a story of the cast helping Casshern reconnect with his memories and reconnect with his past. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about Casshern Sins, is that the character dynamics, the way the characters were with each other, the way they connected to each other, and the way it was able to move the story along, is what I find interesting, and what I find that a lot of anime nowadays have difficulty controlling that. The different character dynamics, and to move the story along with a shonen anime. Neo Cyber Casshan and Casshern Sins are, honestly, I want to say they're revolutionary, even though they might not be. But I would like to say they were revolutionary because of the way they handled things, the way they dealt with certain issues and certain topics. It's just so different from the way other anime deal with it. And I can say that this one for me is a tie. I can't decide which I do like better. Whether it be the original Neo-Cyborg Casshan or Casshern Sins, I can't decide. For me, it's a tie. Now, for you guys, it might not be a tie. You guys might prefer Casshern Sins over Neo-Cyborg Casshan, simply just because of the animation quality. And like I'm saying, is there's more to an anime than just animation quality. You really need to understand the story behind the anime, for you to be able to understand. You know. So, anyway, those are my thoughts on Neo-Cyborg Casshan and Casshern Sins. Um, that's really all I have to say. Is it's just you really need to watch both of them to really get the full story. Because without one, you only get half the story. So without Neo-Cyborg Casshan, you only get Casshern going through life and trying to figure out who he is. But without Neo-Cyborg Casshan, without Casshern Sins, Neo-Cyborg Casshan does not really know how to compute with itself. You feel? So, anyway, that's all. I'll try to make a video next week again, a little bit earlier. Don't know what it will be yet, but I'll I guess I'll see you guys next time. This is Vash Steel signing out.